Okay, guys, I want your energy up. Okay, we're rolling in 5, 4, 3.
Hello and welcome to the Missed Q. I'm your host, Ricky, and with me are my co-hosts,
Jackie and Heidi.
And together we are the Missed Q. We are doing our season 1 finale episode right now to wrap up. How many episodes have we done?
25, 26.
Wow. Something like that. That's a lot.
That's a lot of episodes.
That's a lot. So right away, we should just let people know moving forward, in a couple months when we start re-releasing episodes, we're going to move to once a month guaranteed episode release.
Once a week is a lot.
Yes, once a week is a lot. We bit off more than we could chew.
Yeah.
So anyway, this episode's kind of just a recap how the season has gone for us on this show. Grace Arts Live season, kind of recapping all that. And so Heidi, how do you feel about the Missed Q, how it's gone and how it's served the community?
Oh, how it served the community.
Yeah.
Deep question.
Wow. Yeah.
A bit of a reach, but yeah. Shout out to the 5 of you we've reached.
I think we've had a really huge response actually from obviously our friends that are listening, but there's also people that found us by scrolling. And we have had some very loyal listeners though.
We sure have. And I feel like some of those listeners surprise me. Like people that I find out, I'm like, oh, I was going to rehearsal one day and I'm like parking my car and Jessica Aston rolls down her window and she's like, I'm listening to you right now. And I was like, oh my goodness, really?
Right.
But I feel like there are so many people that like every week routinely listen.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then they're like, hey, I just loved your, and so Wednesday I didn't even realize. And they're like, oh, that episode was so-and-so so great. I was like, why did that come out today? Oh.
Yeah, I know, right?
So glad you listened.
We recorded them and like,
and I forget.
We recorded it all together.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily know which one is coming out.
Mm-hmm. But one of the things I think will be cool and we're going to try next season is doing individual like fireside chat kind of vibes, just one-on-one conversations, because I have found that sometimes just the more intimate conversations lead to more intimate stories and people opening up a little more. We can it's a kind of a deep dive with certain people into their acting processes or their directing processes, depending on who you're talking about.
Right.
But I think if we adding more of that in will create just more of a mix for our listeners, because I feel like while they love listening to the three of us or the three of us and a guest, it's nice to have that like intimate conversation.
Yeah, and we'll still pop on just the three of us every once in a while.
Well, yeah.
We won't deprive everybody. You know what I mean?
Of the joy that is the three of us.
The three of us.
Right. That's right.
So Ricky, how do you feel about our podcast thus far?
People seem to enjoy it. I do like shedding light on different aspects of theater because we try to give credit to every department, you know, and that's one thing we definitely want to bring more specialized departments next season. Like we're hoping to have Mel come on and talk about her lighting. Yeah. I think Jessica Aston would be a great guest to come and talk about.
She has stories already, by the way.
Yes.
It's going to be good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
excellent,
we've talked.
Excellent. But yeah, Eileen, hopefully we can get Grace. We'd be honored to have her.
Yes.
Even the episode we did with Melissa and Marcelo, just about the spouses
yeah.
which we found out that the term is theater widow.
Oh, that's very fitting.
Yes.
Did you hear that, Brian?
Yeah.
Theater widow.
So
Theater widow.
Brian.
Yeah.
He's a fan, by the way.
Krista.
One of our like top fans. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Krista.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Angelo.
A lot of theater widow.
Yeah. Angelo.
Angelo's a theater widow. Shout out to Angelo. Shout out to all the theater
Theater
widows.
Theater widows.
Yeah, so that's the term.
We see you.
We see you. We see you.
We appreciate what
we
you're
don't.
doing. We don't see you because you're at home and we're in the theater. But
yeah.
Thanks for coming to see the show.
Jackie, what do you think? How's this been for you?
I have loved this. I feel like the time that we have had together to like just talk to different people. I feel like there's so many people in the theater that I didn't know a lot about their background. I think that's what gets it for me is those conversations with people that are so influential and finding out things about them and their past that I had no idea about.
Right.
Yeah, some people I've known for my whole life almost. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, wow. You know?
And like moments that have stuck out with them, or that, like, I think about Barbara talking about singing in Fiddler on the Roof in that moment with, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have never known how impactful that moment was.
Right.
But I think also it's just the people that have reached out about how much they have loved this podcast. Like, again,
So many people.
That's why we do it.
Right.
Because of those messages from people that are like, oh my God, I listen every week.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I needed to hear this today. Or I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I know how I feel when I see something that I'm like, I needed to hear that today.
Right.
And people are like, oh my gosh, yes, theater is hard. Like,
Theater is
Yes.
hard.
Yeah. They just need to have somebody they can relate
right.
to, you know?
Right.
And I think between the three of us, we're all different enough in our own
Yeah.
ways on stage and stuff and we all have our own methods. And I think we're relatable in some way
To some
everybody.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
I'll be honest, for me, I reached a point where I'm like, gosh, why am I even doing this? You know?
Yeah.
And to be honest, I didn't even have to dig that deep to find my motivation, because somebody had mentioned they felt like it was kind of a tribute to my dad almost, because I've talked about him quite a bit on
Yeah.
this. And it is my way to keep his memory alive for something I think he was very accomplished at, which
Absolutely.
is theater. But then I kind of realized that I'm doing it for another person, which is Grace, because it's my way to honor her, because I was a troubled teen. I think I touched base
Yeah,
on this
yeah.
in the first episode of our podcast ever, just talking about how theater saved my life.
Right.
And Grace changed the course of my life by just saying yes to my awful audition. You know, she
Yeah.
gave me a shot anyway, and it literally changed the course of my entire life.
Right.
And I am the man I am today and the actor I am today because of her. And I can't thank her enough. And I think that's a big motivation. So this podcast for me is like a big tribute to my dad and to Grace, because my dad brought me to my first audition and Grace cast me.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess I feel like I can never pay her back for everything she's done for me in my life. And this is my way of just trying to keep going, which maybe is why I was so ambitious about once a week and just wanted to, you know, it's my way of giving back.
I feel like it's nice to have a thing that we're so passionate about, but yet for some people it is like it is the highlight. It is their thing that they look forward to. It is their, I mean, yes, it's stressful. Yes, it's a lot of hours editing and filming and all of those things, but I feel like acknowledging what Grace has done in this community is huge. And also being that we're those voices to people that just need someone to say, like,
Yeah,
this
well,
is
and she
what it is.
created like this legacy.
Right.
And I feel like it's all of our responsibility to keep this legacy alive and thriving from generation to generation.
It absolutely is.
So, and the fact that some of our guests have spanned from, like Jack Weldon, he was in Grace's first show here.
Yeah.
Rod Lockman was directing shows, with Grace and, as producer for a while, and things like that. So we've touched base on every generation.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to do that on this show. But it's been incredible to see, and it's like Grace's 70th birthday.
yes.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
It was.
There were so many
It was
different,
so nice.
Yeah.
different people, different generations. It was incredible.
So many people.
Well, and then we even had episodes with kids. I mean, our women
Yeah.
episode, like bringing in that younger generation, Ava
Yes.
Benjamin, like bringing in those younger kids and letting them have that moment to shine, not only on the stage, but here and like speak things that are important to them, like put
Yes.
those words into the world.
Yeah, because they worked hard to get cast in the parts that they got, and anytime that we get a chance to put a spotlight on them and just it's a short time. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
When you're doing a show, if you're the lead role and you're the star of the show, it's you're hot for that show
For 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, for about a month, you know, and
Yeah.
then they're going to move on to the next
Right.
thing. That's just the nature of show business. But I love that we get a chance to really emphasize that even more
Right.
for that. Like having Ava on was great. I'm so glad that you guys FaceTimed me before recording with her, because I was out of town, but I got to, say hi to her and tell her what a great job she did in Annie, which, speaking of Annie, we're in the last weekend. So, and this is the last weekend, not only of the show, but of the whole season, the
Yeah.
fall
Yeah.
season for Good
Yeah.
Starts. So, and you two have been in Annie. I have
Yep.
had this Christmas season off.
Right. What's that like?
Oh
Like
my
it's
gosh.
the first one in like what, 3
I know
years for you?
that you haven't done a Christmas show.
Like
right?
4 years
Yeah.
I've done every Christmas show, but this year it's been amazing. But for you guys, how's the show been? I'm seeing it tonight.
Yay.
Oh yay, that's awesome. It's been good. I feel
It
like
has.
it's a show that like we were like, we have another weekend of this. Like we were all just I feel like we've been doing it
crazy.
forever. Like
Yeah, it
it's
feels like
Well, it's got to be weird because it's right by Christmas too.
Yeah.
very close. Yeah.
I feel like, and you were saying like didn't feel like it's been this close.
Yeah, I feel
Last
like
year.
maybe last year. I don't know. Maybe it's always this close, but I feel like Elf.
No, I feel like this was a lot closer to Christmas.
It was like-
Yeah,
Like
Elf
last year
opened like
later.
right at the beginning of December.
right. And this did not. Our season's a little bit later.
It's like a week.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a week later. But yeah, so I feel like that has been almost not a challenge with this, but I mean, like we're off work now, but
Yeah,
we're-
as of
I'm
yesterday.
like break doesn't start until after Annie's over.
no.
for me. Like,
No, and that is why I'm not done Christmas shopping or
Oh,
anything
yes.
because
People are getting presents late. That's
Sorry.
just all that is. Like, sorry.
no time, guys, no time.
But it's been nice. I feel like there's a lot of pieces that have gone into Annie between the dogs and the kids and the
And the
adults
baby.
and the baby.
It's had challenging elements that
Oh, yeah.
weren't there with other shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally everything that makes a show hard, we've threw into one show.
Right. We're like, let's do it all at
Let's
once.
let's have
Why
2
not?
dogs, real
Yeah.
dogs. Let's throw in an infant and a large cast of children
Yeah,
And a large cast of adults.
Yeah, it's just a very large cast.
it's good though. I saw the trailer. It
trailer-
looked
Oh, yeah,
amazing.
The trailer,
The trailer that you made, yes.
Yeah, and when I recorded that, I got to, I know obviously it's hard for me to pay attention 100%.
Well,
but,
yeah, it was dress rehearsal.
Yeah, it was still, you guys were ready even that Wednesday night of dress. I'm so sorry. Do you not want me to lie?
Were we?
No, I don't think you need to lie.
I think opening night.
Okay,
We were all
okay.
like,
we were ready for
did we
opening.
do this on opening night? We did it.
I saw it
finally.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys looked on Thursday. So we've all been able to dip into some shows this season. It's been fun.
It has
It's been
fun.
a journey. It's been a ride. I did Anastasia. That was the only one I did. So have you done all 3?
No, just Anastasia and Annie.
Okay.
It was not Little
And-
Shop. Bailey was though, so part of
Okay.
me was.
Right.
My soul,
part of
my
you.
heart and soul.
Did you run any sound? Or
I actually didn't, and I would have. I would have done anything to be a part of it just to see it because first of all, I love Little Shop, and second
Yeah.
of all, Bailey ended up getting in a really great role. So coincidentally I just went and watched almost every single show.
That's still fun though. It is
But just
nice
being an
to-
audience member, actually, I really wanted to help in a way. And I realized any way that I would be, because Carmen was already going to run the music. So if I couldn't run music, I could help backstage, but then I can't watch the show.
Right.
And any chance to see my
Better
kid
just to go see
shine.
your kid.
Yeah.
So I just went and watched. It was great.
And there's nothing like watching a show at Grace Arts Live.
No, and I don't get to do it hardly ever.
I know.
So,
So when
I
you get to do
loved
it and you're just like, especially when you get to go to dinner, have a drink, enjoy the night like a
Relax.
regular old patron.
Right.
get there at like showtime
Right.
instead of 2
Go-
hours early.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
It was
Win,
Sit down.
best.
It was-
Go to the theater and see a show.
Go to
It's
the
a hell of
theater.
a time.
It really is. I wasn't in it, but I felt very involved in the show. Being that I saw, I think maybe 6 or 7 out of 9.
Yeah.
Maybe I saw a lot of them.
That's commitment.
That is commitment.
It's my kid.
Mom of the year.
Thank you. Thank
I don't
you.
know. Anytime somebody brags about how many times they've seen a show, I think about when Alex Campamisi mentioned the
Yeah.
9 times he
Yes.
saw Cabaret.
Yes, and then Bailey went to see Cabaret because she was obviously not in it at her age, and I was, and she saw 7 or 8. I think she saw 8 of the 9 shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. One person that I thought was really special to have on was Carmen. And I think a lot of people, we got a lot of feedback on Carmen's
Yeah.
episode.
Yes.
And I think it was mostly because she's so into her work and she's here and she's gets it done and she's so focused on everybody else that nobody really gets to hear her
From her.
backstory
Right.
and her motivations and stuff. So I think her episode was incredible because sometimes you just don't think to ask,
Right. And I think you learn things that you had no idea were there.
Right.
When I feel like it's nice too, like we see the actors on stage, but to hear like from Allie about directing or
Yes.
Lauren about both sides of acting and directing, like having those different perspectives in one episode, like that's huge.
Well, and then to hear them being human as well.
Right.
Right.
Because people are like, oh,
No.
they're just hard and they're just cast and they say, I'm going to crush your dreams. They don't do that.
Right. No, they're all human.
Yeah, they
Very
sit there
human.
and struggle, sweating
Yeah.
bullets.
Yeah.
They're up late till midnight or past that
yeah.
trying to
Trying-
cast a show, so and for them, and I've seen the process. process. It comes down to sometimes like just that heartache. That's a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because you go,
Break-
well, this
you're
is the cast I want, but
breaking
then
hearts.
you can't help but think about whose hearts you're going to break.
Exactly.
It's awful.
So just from my experience of being in the room when they're casting afterwards or whatever, being a fly on the wall in those situations, just people should know that it's always a struggle. It's never
Yes.
easy to cut anybody.
Yeah.
So these directors deserve a little slack, I think.
They do.
Agreed.
It is a really hard job.
Yes, but ultimately it is about what is good for the show.
Right.
Yeah, and
It is-
putting out a product that is
Right.
the quality that Grace Arts is known for, and finding people. Sometimes you could be the most talented person.
you can, but if you
aren't
don't
right
for
the
that role,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's all about right for the role.
There was a couple roles this season I did not get that I really wanted. But, that cast list goes up and you go, okay, well, that makes sense. Because
Right.
you have to
Yeah,
look
and
at
it
it
always does.
objectively and go, well, yeah, they're going to be great at it, you
Right.
know? After you realize what the director's vision is and where your place is in it, you go, okay, this makes sense.
Right.
I am home here in this part. And then you find a new love for that.
Right.
Right.
Even a part you're like, "Ugh, why?
And
Why
then
am
you
I
couldn't
here? And then you
imagine-
realize, wait, this part is actually perfect
And
for
then
me.
you couldn't imagine doing
Not doing
anything
it.
else.
Yes.
So,
all the time.
yeah. That's always, you never know. It's so the directors really deserve a round of applause
Yeah.
for
Do.
what they do. They deserve the standing ovation. Now, you guys always get to ask this question, but I want to ask it this time. Have you ever missed a cue this season?
Ooh.
A story you haven't told. We've done a few shows. Has there been any missed cues
Heidi?
this season?
Heidi.
Heidi first. What have you missed?
This is Annie.
A fresh one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Fresh.
I really hesitate to say anything because Grace will hear it, and somehow we all got away with this.
Well, this will air on Christmas morning. Merry Christmas,
Merry
by the way,
Christmas.
everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
So Annie's going to be done.
And there'll be some Christmas grace. Literal.
Okay. Although I will say the only positive thing that came out of it is that when we all went in the trailer, I was like, okay, now I have a missed Q story.
Okay.
Because I
sure.
really didn't.
Yes. Oh, I remember.
I'll-
I remember you walking in the trailer. I'm so excited.
Oh God. Okay, so I'm gonna do my best. Try not to get too elaborate, but okay. So it was dress rehearsal, but we talked about it. It still counts, and it was second dress rehearsal. Not a great show for me. So me and several other, I think I'll leave their names off unless you want me to drop their names. I can, but you can figure it out. Me and some of the maids, the house staff, if you will.
Bailey and Ava.
No.
No.
Oh, no, it wasn't them. It was adults.
Adult.
It was all
Oh.
adults that had
Oh.
this
Mary and
collective
Ivan,
issue.
okay.
No, it wasn't.
What?
Our producer just called it out.
No, Mary made it on time, which I don't know how because she was there she was like, peace out, guys. I'm not missing anything.
like, I am a
Because
pro.
Mary knows. Mary's there to do the work.
It is.
Love
It is
you,
her
Mary.
second show,
Shout
and
out
she
to
is
Mary.
locked in. Yes,
Yes.
good job, Mary.
Okay,
Because I
sorry,
even
go
was
ahead.
like, "Was Mary late too?" Oh no, girl
So we
went
know
on.
who it
No, it's just
wasn't.
me. Okay, this is what happened. So we thought that we had, as everyone does, more time than we did, and that's because the night before we were hurrying at this one particular scene change or costume change, and we had all this extra time. So the next night we're like, "Oh guys, remember we had so much time here? We don't have to rush." Now we don't have to rush. But we did not have that much time. We thought that we had time to steam, iron, and starch our aprons. And Sage and I have these ridiculous hats that needed to be starched, but they hadn't, and we didn't do it before the show. We
I
thought,
don't think there's any show where you have time to do
no,
that.
no, oh no, and we absolutely did not. But for all three of us adults who have done many shows, by the way, all thought that we had time. So here, and none of us knew how to starch ever. Not one of us, but we're reading the label on this bottle. We're shaking it. We're trying to starch our hats. At the same time, someone else got out the steamer. I went and found the iron in the closet. We did all of these things in the time that the night before we were like quick changing. So again, it doesn't by all accounts, it doesn't make sense. But we thought we had time. So we're ironing, we're steaming, somebody's starching, and someone's ironing. All three of us at
Okay.
the same time. And we're like trading off, doing all of our aprons and our hats. Until Jackie walks in the trailer. And when she comes in, we're already backstage going on stage. And we're like, hey, oh my God, why are you here? And she's like, why are you here? The three of us bolted.
I've never seen someone run so fast out
so-
of the trailer.
And again, this is now where I'm incriminating all three of us. I'm so sorry because by the grace of God, we did not get a note, and I don't know why, but there were other things that happened that night, and somehow it got missed, and we deserved the note. I deserved to stand up and say, there's no excuse for Mr. Lake Hugh, and I was ready to. I was ready to go into notes, ready to say it, and we didn't get called out. So here it is. I'm calling myself out, calling all three of us out.
But you also were freaking out on stage the whole time.
Okay, so I'll get to it. So it's even funnier. So we did get on. We made our best choice, and we went on, but we went on late. So normally we come on and we dust the couch for a little while, and then there's a bit of a music change. Some other people come, and that's when we all walk forward. Well, we walked on at the exact time that we walk forward. So it wasn't obvious. So like she probably didn't notice.
So it was a smooth transition.
Oh, super smooth. No one, honestly, no one would know. It was just Sage and I just walked. We went right down. We walked on and went right to our spots, and then Katie goes to a different spot. No one knew except everybody on stage. Sage, however, didn't even have her apron on. It was still off. I did have mine on, and I threw my head on really fast. However, this all happened so fast that, well, I go, there's a transition where we stand, we do our thing, and the whole time I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe we made it, we're here, we made it. Sage is not wearing she doesn't have her apron, it's fine. And then I go and stand, we move places, and I stand next to Katie. Katie has a notepad as part of her character, and she writes on it, "Did you unplug? ? The iron."
Oh my.
And immediately I go, I just shake my head no to her. And she was like, And then she writes painting ? Because the three of us are also supposed to preset the painting.
The Mona Lisa?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I go,
No,
I didn't. She didn't. Sage didn't.
That's a big bit.
Oh, I know. And so while I'm upset about the painting, all I can think about is
I'm going to burn the trailer
I'm
down.
burning the trailer down. So I did not unplug it, but I'll tell you what actually happened.
Oh my gosh. Grace is going to kill you when she hears this.
I know, I was really worried to tell the story. So.
No. Well, the story was fine until it became a fire hazard.
Oh, but that's the funniest part of the story. So I just want you to picture me standing there. I was just worried about making it on time, and I was like, we made it. Okay, well, not on time. We were late. We missed the cue for sure. But we made our best choice. But then I read the notepad, and I was like, all I can think is that the trailer is burning down as we speak, and it's going to be my fault. And
Isn't Jackie back there in the trailer?
Yeah, you had Allie and I in the trailer.
Yeah.
This is not logical thoughts were not happening in my brain at this moment.
Clearly.
I was going, it's burning up. Should I just leave stage right now and save the day? Because if I leave and I stop a fire, I will be commended.
But
if
then
I
you
leave and there is no fire, I will be reprimanded.
Right.
So I'm I'm not listening to the song. I don't know what's happening. I could care less about the painting, although I was worried about that too. What do I leave or do I stay? How mad is Grace going to be if I run off stage?
Oh my god.
Okay, so
I didn't leave.
in the trailer, I'm sitting there going, why does it smell like something's burning? Oh, that's
So-
weird. I thought nothing of it. And I was like, oh, I'm sure they unplugged it. I didn't think anything
It was
of
not unplugged, but I pictured that I left it like laying down. I did not. Sage, we'd actually switched places at that point, and she was ironing. And when we saw Jackie come in, she set it up. So she knew it wasn't, but I could only remember that I was the last person ironing, and I thought it was down. So I'm picturing it on all this material. The material's catching
There were
fire.
wigs over there.
There were,
Oh my god.
I escalated very quickly in my head at this
Wow.
point.
Could have been bad.
And it was fine. Everything was fine, and we didn't even get a note, and we deserved the note. So there is
you're
no
saying it right now?
excuse for a Mr. Lake Q. And the painting was preset, by the way, because Bailey, who was backstage, who was working backstage,
Yes.
not my daughter Bailey, she preset it for us, the doll.
Wow.
And it was
Shout out
there.
to that
Shout out
crew.
to
Shout
the
out
backstage
to
crew.
the backstage crew of every
Yes.
show
Yeah.
because
Literally.
they do that kind of stuff all the time,
Yes.
and it
Saved
never gets unnoticed.
the
It's one of
day.
those things where if you do your job right, it doesn't get noticed sometimes.
You should have seen me running, though, as soon as our scene was over.
I'll bet.
Ran like I had a quick change.
Yes.
I didn't have a quick change. Just running to the trailer, and
Yeah,
it was
in
not
so
on fire.
fast. You were
She's like, "Hey," I'm like, "It's not on fire."
I was like, what?
What?
Are you talking?
Wow. Okay. Well,
Anyway, so
that's
I
a
didn't
heck of a
set
story.
I've been.
That was a good story, our producer says.
Thank you.
Wow.
I'm ready to tell it. I'm sorry.
I've been waiting for
I'm
this
so
moment.
sorry.
Yes, I'm really concerned.
Okay, but nothing bad happened. We made some bad choices.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you told the story and you made a good choice and went on when you should have.
And the trailer didn't burn down.
And the
right.
trailer's still there.
Oh man. Well,
I'm really sorry. Please cast
Thank
me
God
again.
for small favors, I guess.
God, someone's
Oh
looking
man.
out.
Okay, Jackie. Do you have a Miss
Follow
Q
that.
story?
Okay, so what's funny is earlier when you asked me this, I was like, no, I have none. And then as I'm listening to Heidi, I was like, oh, I could think of an almost from Annie and a definite from Anastasia.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Okay, so the almost from Annie was I'm supposed to enter from the house with all the orphans. And there was one show where y'all forgot a whole page of dialogue.
That was the
In
Hooverville
Hooverville.
scene. I was in that. I didn't forget any dialogue though.
And I
So you
was,
sped up the show by a minute or two.
yeah,
We skipped a
it was like
page.
four
No,
pages.
it was one
It
page.
was a lot.
I went back and looked.
It was a lot. And
was
I'm
a
in the
lot.
trailer and I'm like, oh, they're already done with the Hooverville song?
Yeah, we were
I'm running. The orphans aren't even in there.
It was
I'm
opening
like,
night, actually.
Oh my God. I'm grabbing the orphans from Cause. I'm like, let's go. They're like, what? I'm like,
so sorry.
They're moving.
They don't need to say what. They need to listen.
Wow.
True.
They're listening
Period.
right now, so tell them.
Period.
So that what people don't realize that if an actor or many actors collectively skip a whole page of dialogue, it affects the whole
So that's
show.
why you go to your place early. Just in
Yeah.
case.
Yes.
There's nothing like changing for a scene and then you get skipped because dialogue is skipped and you're like, cool.
Cool.
I changed for no reason.
Yeah.
Let me go
Right.
get in my next outfit.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
almost missed that scene, but we didn't. We literally
Sorry.
got there as the like police whistle was going. And we were like, and I'm like, okay, counting.
that's when
I'm
we
counting
leave.
the orphans.
Yeah.
I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 14. Okay, let's go. Let's go. So it was an almost miss.
Okay.
Anastasia, however, okay. So there was one night I had so many quick changes in that show. And there was one night where I quick changed into the Czarina costume. I'm supposed to go in for the night.
Elegance, beautiful costume.
Yeah,
by the way.
so beautiful.
Shout out to Jessica.
Beautiful
Yes,
costuming.
gorgeous. I
Who-
loved
you know.
wearing it. Oh my God, it was so amazing. And Kyla helped me change so many times. This was one where I changed myself and I was like, I have plenty of time. Like, it's fine.
We need to spotlight quick changers.
Yeah, we do.
sometime on-
Because
we
what
do.
would we
an
do without
episode,
them?
Yeah.
Literally.
Sorry, and go on.
Yeah.
So I'm changed and I'm ready. And I'm like, wow, I have more time than normal.
Oh.
I'm supposed to be going on for the nightmare. And there's a bed and there's all the boys and me and Bill and little Anya. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, I have more time. And I'm like talking to you, actually.
Oh.
Socializing.
Yeah. And then this one runs off stage and is laughing hysterically. Him and Allie are both laughing hysterically.
Oh, that was after our scene.
Yes. And they were laughing.
Allie and I
hysterically.
were
and you and I
just-
were like, what happened? What happened?
so funny?
What's going on? What's so funny? And we're like listening and all of a sudden I hear the nightmare music and I was like, I have never run down that ramp so fast. And I walked
remember.
in and Bill and little Anya are like further up
Yeah.
where we're supposed to be in front of the bed. I'm behind the bed.
Oh no.
Bill turns around and looks at me and goes, And I was like,
So you entered.
I
You just entered late.
But I was late. But
Yeah.
it could have been bad because I wanted to hear why Allie and Ricky were laughing. I was like, what happened? It was so amazing. And then I was like,
And then when you hear
Mr.
your music,
Q.
it's the worst.
Yeah, your heart drops.
I
Yeah.
have never, and that dress and the hoop, like,
Yeah,
wasn't
oh.
easy to run in.
It's not easy to do anything in
Dude.
that dress.
Terrifying.
In those situations too, I feel like because those were rented, right? Was that right?
Yeah.
Yes, those
Yeah.
were rented.
Yeah, some of the costumes were rented. So in those situations, you want to be moving with haste,
Right.
But you also want to be careful about your costume. You have to be.
They're
super
also
careful.
white.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Yes.
was all white.
And our backstage is outside.
because people need to understand that you can go, oh, I just need to get through the show, but you got Jessica who has to deal with the aftermath of how
Right.
you
Costumes.
treated your costume.
Yes.
So always respect your costume and respect the fact that somebody
Yeah.
has to deal with it.
Right.
Like Jessica and her children who help her out and clean the trailers and all that.
Yes.
Shout out to them. We're giving shout outs all
Shout outs to
episode.
everyone.
Everywhere. So, Ricky, I know that in your mind, and probably Carmen's mind as well, you are perfect and have never missed a cue. But we've been on stage with you this season, and I know for a fact you have because I've had to cover for you.
I do miss cues, and I don't say I'm perfect. Carmen says I'm perfect. I can't remember any specific times, but I know there was a few shows during Diary of a Wimpy Kid where I had some voiceovers for the cartoons, and I was not there. So I'm sure you guys can pinpoint some mistakes
Or the
I've
principal.
made. Or the,
The
principal.
principal
Oh,
that you
okay.
missed,
Okay.
like,
No,
many
go
times.
ahead, ladies.
I mean,
By
I
all-
was running projections, and
By all means, tell me
they were-
the
you were-
cues I missed.
that specific principal line you missed multiple nights.
Yeah, there was one night where it was supposed to be you're announcing that Greg Heffley won
Oh yeah.
cartoonist, and I'm there with the class full of children.
And they're all waiting
I
to
have
hear.
I have no lines in the scene. I'm literally just supposed to stand there, and I was like,
A chance for you to grow as a
I'm like,
performer.
thank you for giving me that chance.
Hey, no problem. It's
I'm
my
like,
pleasure.
boys and girls, the announcements will begin shortly.
Yes.
We're waiting for the announcements. It should be any minute now. They should start. And then finally Ricky came on.
Yeah, I do remember walking backstage and hearing you go, the announcement should start in any minute. I'm like, they're gonna.
And all the kids are looking at me
Yeah.
like, Nolan, all the kids are looking at me like, and I'm like,
Yeah. And I'm like, Carmen, I'm so sorry. I thought I was waiting for a cue line and I didn't hear it. And
and Carmen's like, Ricky, it's not your
And
fault.
she's like, you know what? We'll figure out who it was and we'll just.
it wasn't you.
It was you.
It was you.
Actually.
It was
It
you.
was totally me. So there was a few of the voiceover
There
lines.
was multiple
It was
times.
just, and I think a lot of people will agree that those random interjections of lines,
Yes.
those are the toughest.
They are the hardest ones.
Well, and I feel like Wimpy Kid, there were a lot of those. And because there were so many different characters that we were like covering as those
Yes.
adults, there were
None
a
of
lot
us
those.
were perfect.
No.
And when I say
forgot
none of
about
us, I
Wimpy
mean
Kid.
me and Jim. We missed our cues a couple
I mean,
times.
I did really great with the projections.
I was like,
so
the
I didn't
projections
You
miss
did
a
great with
thing.
the projections.
Thank you.
Bridget filled in a
Bridget
couple
covered
times.
a couple times.
Like,
Her doing both roles.
you know what's
Oh,
interesting? And
yeah.
I did learn this from Bridget because I'm sorry, Jim, but I do have to say you missed your cue
Yeah.
and you weren't back there, and Bridget covered for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now it was the line that I really wanted, but I didn't get. Jim got assigned the line, and it's the line where he goes, "I've been waiting 3 hours
Mm-hmm.
for a hamburger," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is my chance." But in those types of situations, you're like, "Okay, well, how long do I wait?"
Right.
Right.
Before it sounds
you-
like a mistake, or before I'm stepping on somebody else's line, like when do I
Right.
step in?
Yeah.
Right.
And then I'm sitting there questioning, like, okay, what is the timing? And then Bridget stepped in and said the line, and I went, "Oh, that's
With, like, a
there's-
different-
that's the timing."
Yeah, she had, like, a
got you.
different voice. It
So
was- oh my
like,
God. We
so
were dying backstage.
like Bridget taught me something about timing that
Yeah.
night because I always question that, and I feel like she has that sort of stuff down
Oh,
to a
yeah.
science.
She does.
And so when she said that, I went, "Man, dang it. But I lost my shot because I waited too long."
Right.
Her
Yeah.
timing was
Was
impeccable.
perfect.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
So props to Bridget for that. And
Yes.
yeah, it was really cool, when I was like, oh man, now I know.
So then that's Wimpy Kid. What about Anastasia?
Oh, Anastasia.
Anything in Anastasia that
Well,
comes
I
to
remember
mind?
there was one performance where I left stage. I was off stage for a couple minutes. I think Maura was getting fast changed, and the three of us, us two with Jordan, are supposed to enter into the hotel room or whatever during the next scene, and it's kind of a quick turnaround, especially for Jordan. And I started walking up the ramp, and there's Jackie. Oh, hey, where are you going?
I was like, aren't you on stage right now?
I just immediately turned around and said, "Oh yeah."
Yep.
And I barely made it on time. And of course, Maura and Jordan were like, but there was oddball things that happened in that show, like the chalkboard during the What Are We Doing scene
yeah.
wasn't
You
there.
did not have your props. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a big thing. And but honestly, I love those situations because I think it's a chance. People always need to look for those opportunities to stand out instead of feeling detoured by a challenge. You need to go, this is an opportunity for me to show. This is an opportunity for me to show what I'm made of. But it's your chance to shine. And I think instead of being scared of mistakes that happen, people should thrive off of that.
Right.
When I feel like you and Allie, and I think of Jake, like you three in particular are people that I'm like, if I'm on stage with you and something goes wrong,
Yeah.
I know for a fact you're gonna
You're gonna cover.
It's gonna be fine, and I'm gonna figure out and go with you. Like, I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
There was a music cue that was like delayed, and Allie just looked at me, and we were like, "Yeah, well, you know where we're going. We're
Right.
going." Like, and we just
Right.
like you guys have that ability. You've been on
Just-
stage so much to just. We're just gonna do it, and that's the fun, like
Yeah.
of being able to fill those situations. I know Jake has done it a couple times.
Yeah. I mean, it happened
Like,
last night.
Well, for me, I feel like an immediate connection with the audience. Like, okay, we're in this together. Especially when you reach a point where you go, the audience knows something's off.
Right.
And sometimes it's about leaning a little bit into that skid,
Speaking of audiences, I feel like we've had really good audiences this fall.
We really have.
Yeah.
Like, I feel
Yeah.
like the people that have come, I mean, people have said like, this is my favorite show I've seen, or I come every, like, I don't know, they just have been more vocal, or maybe it's because we run a podcast and I'm just thinking about it more, but I'm like,
Right. Well, yeah, you're the stars of podcast.
obviously.
Right.
But no, I just feel like the patrons that come and watch our shows, they are some of the most loyal and
Absolutely.
honest people. And I feel like some of them live for these shows. Like it makes their day to come and see it. So
Yeah.
you're talking about the connection with the audience and having that moment, like thinking about those people and how it is the highlight of their week or day or month.
Shout out to our patrons.
Yes.
And the ones who keep coming back. The people that I've seen multiple times at Annie and Anastasia, but Annie specifically.
Yeah, they're like, it's my third time seeing it.
They don't
like,
have.
oh my gosh.
They don't necessarily even have a family. I'm not talking
There's
about the
like
ones
a
with a
cult-
family member. There's just
like
people.
a cult following with
They're just
Annie.
coming back. I'm like, you're here again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, and we love and appreciate that
We do.
support. I think there's been a nice variety of different shows this season too, and I think Grace is really good at keeping a good variety.
Right.
Little Shop, Jason did great with his
So good.
with his campy vibe to it. It was
Yes,
it was
very
perfect
fun.
for the Halloween
For
season.
October, yes.
My only sadness about that is that a lot of people missed it.
I know. It should have
because
sold out
it's
every
an
night,
unknown.
and it didn't.
Those shows that people are going, oh, I've never even heard of that, and they don't want to give it a chance just because they
Just
don't
give
know
it a
the name.
chance. Right.
And that literally goes for like every show at Grace Arts.
I mean,
Live.
Anastasia too. The first weekend, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
word of mouth spread really well, and it
Right.
did much better. But that was such a beautiful show. I'm sad for people who didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
It was so
I
beautiful.
mean, I feel like if people have anything to like, they think about what Grace puts into picking these shows. She's not picking shows randomly.
Oh, no,
like
there's
they
a
are very
process.
intentional. I mean, Lauren talked about that on her episode.
Yes.
Like I was throwing out show after show after show, and Grace kept telling me no. Well, because Grace wants the perfect season.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And
this is
she's
the
picking
18th
that
season. So, I mean, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah,
She's all
trust
about
that the
quality.
shows that are there are going to be good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she like runs the numbers and runs the stats about what audiences respond to. And,
Right.
because you hear about what audience members want to see and you're
Right.
like, oh, gosh, I don't want to do that at all.
Literally.
and then you'll see Grace pick a show where you're like, oh. And then some people will be like, oh my gosh, that was my favorite
Right.
experience
Yeah.
ever. And then they fall in love with the show. And I think that's part of Grace's mission is to keep the classic themes alive
Yes.
with the new generations, carrying it forward. And she reminds everybody about the multi-generational impact
Yeah.
that it's had. So she always is teaching the new generation about old classics, but she has been open
to
to
newer
new
shows.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's really been opening up. The fact that she did In the Heights
Right.
a year ago,
Right.
incredible. Nobody would have ever thought that she would have picked a show like, so out of her wheelhouse because she is that Rodgers and Hammerstein kind of
Classic, yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
And she hit that one out of the park. Her casting was
good.
amazing of that, which she has a knack for that, obviously. So, when I've been disappointed in the past, I with casting choices that she makes, it's like there's a good reason for it.
Right.
So, and then it just feels so good to be a part of the story and like if I'm being completely honest, I wanted the part of Dimitri, but I couldn't imagine not playing Vlad, first of all. And I couldn't imagine anybody but Jordan doing Dimitri.
Right.
And I couldn't imagine not having that journey of friendship and camaraderie
Yeah.
with him. He's in Buenos Aires right now, and he reached out to me a couple days ago. I called him back today. So shout out to Jordan if you're listening.
Yes.
Give us a listen.
Jordan.
Give us a listen in Buenos Aires.
Right? Like that country listed on our
Please.
Spotify.
Yes, that'd be
Yes.
incredible. But yeah, and that's just an example of what may seem like a disappointment really could be a new opportunity and a new adventure into something you never thought would be so special to you. Let's get down to brass tacks and what we really want to talk about, which is cues that affected us, miscues that affected us.
Well, I think you want to start that off.
Me?
Well, I feel
like you do want
are
to start
super
that.
passionate
I'm a
about
little
this.
passionate about it.
'Cause you
So
were just talking
actually,
about Jordan
I
and
was
how much
talking
you love
about
him.
Jordan, and Jordan's a fantastic professional performer, amazing. And this happened the day after we recorded his episode. So we recorded his episode. He told his missed cue story, and then he missed a cue the next day, which was the cue I almost missed, which was into the hotel room in Anastasia.
Yep.
And now I looked around. I didn't see Jordan, and I didn't know where he was. All I knew was that we had to be on stage, us two in Anastasia.
Yep.
And he's nowhere to be found. And I'm like, oh man, he forgot it. And then Maura and I walk on stage. Now Maura, you know how locked in she gets.
Yes.
So even before she enters the stage, she's already in the zone. She's kind of looking steamed at the ground, and she walks in angry. So she's already in that mindset, assuming that we're both behind her. And she just storms on stage, and I'm like, okay, here we go. It's just me and her.
We're doing
Yeah.
it.
Oh, it's just
Doing
me
it.
and her.
We're doing it.
And I'm thinking, obviously, you start thinking right away, like, what do I need to do to adjust? How is this going to be affected? How can I help more? And when she realizes that it's just us.
Yeah.
So these are things going through my head. And luckily, it was a scene where he could have been gone. I knew he would be there when he needed to be. But for the first minute of the scene, he would have been fine
Yeah.
to be in there. And Maura turns around, because she turns around with the teddy bear or whatever, and she goes, what is this?
Just like that.
Just like, what is this? And his line is supposed to be like, I bought it for you in Paris, or whatever his line was.
Yeah.
And she turns around and he's not there. And I could kind of see in her eyes, she didn't really shift looks because she's
Yeah.
a professional,
Right.
but I could see it in her eyes like, oh, it's just us. And she looks at me and she goes, what is this? And so getting Maura's angry look on stage is like, oh God. And then I was like, Dimitri bought it for you. And then she throws it at me. And she goes, I don't want it. I'm like, okay, where's Jordan? I need Jordan now.
Like, hello?
She's directing her.
Help.
She's projecting.
She's mad at me.
It's not my fault. I didn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it.
And then luckily, though, I went to go turn around to go look at the teddy bear. And Jordan was like walking in. But I wanted to throw him under the bus.
Yeah.
Because that happened. And he looks at me after that scene and he goes, man, how crazy that this didn't happen before my episode.
He was very upset when he came off
was,
stage.
yeah.
I think I talked to him right away. He's like, I missed it.
Yeah.
We should have done the podcast today.
Right, he's like, I did it.
Tomorrow
Yeah.
because
You know
I'd
what?
have a story.
I was surprised at how much Jordan kind of beats himself up a little bit when he makes
Yes.
a small mistake.
He was very upset for the record
Yes.
about that.
Yeah,
dispute,
he
like
was.
for a while.
He doesn't take those mistakes lightly. He
Well,
really.
it's because he's passionate and he
Yeah.
cares about it so much. I
Well,
think
he
that
knows
shows
that as an out of town performer, people are looking at him like, "Oh,
Right.
you're," or how he handles mistakes,
Right.
which I think shows your level of professionalism. And for me, seeing how he handled those hurdles really made me respect him as a performer.
Yeah. It showed his passion and
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
important it was to him.
Yeah.
I think that's huge.
For sure. My freak out during that was I had some lines in French. And he came up to me after one of the scenes that we had when I first met him. And he's all like, I speak fluent French. So and I'm like, oh gosh. I said, I'm sorry if I'm offending you because I probably
Because,
am
probably
so
wrong.
far
Don't know
off.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, I mean, I don't want to step on any toes or anything, but if you want any help with anything, I said, by all means.
You're like, please
I
tell me
said,
how to
let me
say it."
grab my script. We're gonna sit down for a few minutes and go over every one of my French lines. And it was incredibly helpful. So he helped me out a lot. But
That's nice.
it was just so nerve wracking when he's like, I speak fluent French. I was like, oh my gosh.
You're like,
Okay, let me work on that then.
Okay.
Oh man. So next season at Grace Arts Live,
yeah.
Spam a Lot, Unsinkable Molly Brown,
Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
Very
Auditions
excited.
are coming up.
January
January
6th.
January 6th auditions. But again, there you go. There's a lineup of different
Very
styles
different
of
shows. And two new shows we've never done.
Yes.
Yeah. One classical, two more modern shows.
Yeah.
I consider Spam Lot modern just because of what it is. I feel like it's just
the
goofy.
the themes it tackles. and-
Yeah.
yeah, stuff like that. Spam a Lot. That'll be interesting.
I mean-
Jason's directing.
yeah. And Grace is doing Molly Brown.
Yep,
And then
and Lauren's doing Legally Blonde.
Yeah,
It'll be
so you got
interesting.
3 different style shows, three
Right,
different
three different
style directors. It's such an exciting time.
So then
for
we have
this
to ask,
theater.
are we all auditioning? Are we auditioning for this?
I am
one?
auditioning,
Yeah,
yeah.
I am too.
A lot of guys mention that they want to audition for the show.
That's true. There are a lot of people
Which is
interested,
great.
which is
Yeah,
good.
which is good. And
We need a lot of guys.
There's people that have been doing shows recently. Some guys, some heavy hitters that have been doing shows recently. Some heavy hitters from a few years back that want to come out of the woodwork
For Spam a Lot.
Spam a Lot. Like,
Listen
there's
to
been
the album.
there's,
It's amazing.
There's been a
The
couple people who are
potential
like,
could be
well, I want
great.
this
Yeah.
part and
Yeah.
I want this part. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe these people are like
Yeah.
so excited to do the show. It's great. That's awesome. So I mean, I think it's going to be a phenomenal show. And I think Jason's going to have his pick of the litter.
Yes.
And I mean, we know what work Jason puts out, so he always delivers
He does.
the laughs, delivers some tears.
So we'll have the laughter in that one. We'll have that serious classic vibe with Molly Brown, which has humor in it
does,
as well. But
yeah.
I'm
like,
not familiar with it at all.
the class. I mean, it is very classic.
It's-
I am becoming familiar with it, but it's very hard. There are no videos of it. There is a movie. It's not good.
They've made like adaptations to the score and the script from the original from way back when
okay.
to make it not
Make
more
it
modern, but
just
better.
Sure.
And so it's good. There's good adaptations that have been made. So you have that vibe, and then you have Legally Blonde, which is literally like you're just going to have fun.
love.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Love.
great music.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Silly story. Like I remember when I first saw that in New York, and I was like, this is just like I'm just supposed to sit
when
here and have fun.
MTV aired it,
Yes.
oh my
It's like,
gosh,
this
I
is just
love
fun.
it.
I love it.
fun.
Yeah. So much fun.
It is.
Like I'm not.
really good.
It's not the Anastasia vibe of like the touching. Like
No,
you're
it's just
going to
fun.
have fun.
Yes.
I think it's going to be a great ending to the spring season for
Yeah.
Grace
Yeah,
Arts
absolutely.
Live.
Yes.
So you're going to definitely take the ride.
It'll be so exciting, and we'll have our episodes with people from those shows on in the spring. Hear a little bit about that behind the scenes process.
Yeah,
That'll
and
be
so
awesome.
and for the listeners out there, we're still kind of restructuring and reanalyzing how we want to approach this podcast moving forward. We definitely want to have some deep, intimate conversations with certain guests and do some deep dives. But we're still going to be providing those random episodes of promoting each show at Grace Arts Live. And then whatever we want. Do whatever we want.
It's just nice to not be tied to that every week. 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like
Right.
that was stressing
Yeah.
us out and making it not as fun.
It wasn't as fun. The good thing is nothing felt forced as far as content. 'Cause every
No,
guest,
yeah.
We loved
like,
every episode. Like they were
yes.
great.
Once we got into it and we were recording, it was great. It was all the in between stuff of those moments for us. So
When I feel like if there's specific content that you as like viewers and listeners are like, I want to hear
want-
from this person or I want to see
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Like,
Let us know.
please
Give us
Please.
feedback.
Send us a
Please.
message, add a comment, like let us know. That's what we want to do. We have a great lineup for season 2 already, but we can definitely add extra people if there's people that
because we want to
hear from.
spotlight the theater programs that you two are personally building,
yeah.
not only in
Yes.
your own school, which is Jamaica,
Yes.
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 but spreading it
Also in
across,
middle school.
also in middle school. You guys have helped start the programs at Starline. Darren
Yeah.
Hunting is doing a phenomenal
Yeah.
job spearheading
Well, and then
that.
Sage Best has her program.
Yeah,
on
at
Broadway.
Yes.
Grande.
And then I just heard the other day, Smoke Tree Elementary is starting a performing arts club too.
Excellent.
So we're starting
Really?
to get more club. I don't know who's running, but there's more clubs at elementary school level, which I think just feeds into the
Oh, it all feeds in.
Arizona Coast
Right.
program, feeds into Grace Arts. Like the more kids we can get in, the better.
Yeah.
And we talk about it all the time that theater like changes our lives.
It does.
Yeah, and
For the better.
And we've already talked about planning some episodes where you two are on with just a couple of the kids from like
Yeah.
maybe each
Yeah.
club, and emphasizing them and giving them a little spotlight and stuff. And
Yeah.
because sometimes you need, especially at their age, you need to be reminded of that what you're doing makes a difference,
Right.
touches people's lives,
Yeah.
and you are important.
So I am excited for everything that is to come in not only the spring season of Grace Arts shows, but also our second season of pod. I mean, let's be real. When Ricky was like, "Let's do a podcast," you
We're
and
like,
I were
okay.
both like, "Okay, we'll see." And
It's
here
not
we
going to
are.
happen.
And here we are.
Here we
We're
are.
still doing
We have
it.
merchandise now.
We do.
We have a sponsor. Like, come on.
We do have a sponsor, which we're going to bring that into season 2
We're gonna
as
bring
well.
it into season 2. So there's a lot of exciting things coming.
Yes,
plus
keep
some of your
listening.
same old talks with the three of us.
Yeah.
Hopefully
and,
you enjoy that because we sure do.
And once and once we get it together, really, hopefully we can do something to acknowledge our top listeners because we
Yes.
do have
We
a few people that are super loyal and that really motivate us to keep
Yeah.
going. It's people that comment, and Carmen doesn't count. I'm sorry, I love you, Carmen, but
She's just a given.
she's a given.
Yeah.
She's
'Cause
a
we love
given.
her.
She's loving and supportive.
Yes.
You
I know. And we do. You're right. We have people, and maybe we need to have like a fun fan episode.
We
Fan
should have a fun fan
episode.
episode.
Okay.
I also want to give a shout out. I'm not going to name names, but there are 2 people who sponsor us on Spotify.
Thank you for sponsoring us.
Thank you
And
for sponsoring
that's
for
going
us.
away soon. Spotify's
Oh,
changing.
Spotify's
Oh,
not
really?
doing the sponsorship anymore.
Yeah, January 3rd, it's gone away.
Oh,
But-
well,
So
thank
our
you.
$6 a month isn't going to be anymore.
No,
We've been
man.
earning $6 a
Guys,
month.
6,000.
for
We have
this
like $30 in an account. Somewhere.
Yes, we're hoping to eventually buy 1 new mic at a time.
It's going to be a while.
Something like that. Yeah. No, but we're super grateful not only
Yes.
for this podcast and the opportunity to do it, Thank you to all the guests who
our
have,
guests.
have been on.
Take the time to come and sit and have awkward beginnings of conversations
Yeah.
that then lead into
Yeah.
like, wait, we're done? I want to keep talking.
Exactly.
Every
It's some
time.
phenomenal stuff. And that's the thing. That's the exciting thing is some of those guests are eager for season 2 appearances.
Yeah.
Right.
So once a month, we'll see, but got to have Carmen on again. I really want to spotlight her.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to remember how hard Carmen works and how much love and respect she deserves.
And listen to their tracks on SoundCloud. Let's be real.
Yes.
Because that's
Listen
what
to the
she's
tracks
doing.
on SoundCloud.
Let me tell you
Listen
a
to it.
secret, guys. Okay. There are times where I literally downloaded SoundCloud and just listened not because I felt like, I needed to, but because I wanted Carmen to feel loved and appreciated. Like,
Yeah.
it turns out it was helpful to listen to those tracks.
Weird.
It was.
It
It
is.
was helpful. So she was right. But
Yes.
just show Carmen that love. And the best way you can show Carmen love is by doing your work because she does hers.
But yeah, so more exciting things to come. Keep listening, comment, let us know what you want to see. We might be adding some fun, silly reels here in our little break between season 1 and season 2.
Yes, we have some ideas for some content.
So know
Yeah.
those are coming, and we just appreciate all of you. And I'm just thankful for the two of you because I feel like this has been so fun and like just cathartic to like sit and just talk about something that I love with people that I care about. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been an honor.
fun.
I'm glad we started this. Glad you guys put up with my vision.
Well, some days are easier than others.
That's
Well,
true,
you
but
guys
here we
have tried to
are.
reel me in too, and I've been like, no, we're going to do this.
Well, it's
And
hard.
We're like, it's a podcast, Ricky. People don't watch it. They listen.
And here they are watching it.
And here they are watching us.
One last thing I want to mention is Grace again, because the bottom line is that is the reason we're here.
Yes.
Again, the reason we're doing theater, the reason
we're friends.
The reason we're friends. The three of us would not be friends if it wasn't for Grace.
That's true.
Yes. So thank you for everything you've done, Grace.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you. We've been excited and anticipating her even acknowledging our podcast.
Correct.
Which she finally did
Yes.
a few weeks ago. She mentioned us by name, and it was like, this. Oh my God,
Or the time she wore the shirt we gave her to rehearsal.
She did.
We were like, oh my God, she's
wearing our
Miss
shirt.
Kate shirt.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It matters, Grace. It matters.
It matters, and I think she knows by now that
Yeah.
everything she does has mattered and still matters and will continue to matter.
100%.
So we love you, Grace.
We love
and
you.
we
Love you,
all
Grace.
know from your teachings that there is no excuse
For a missed or late cue.
See you guys next season.